with Bryston Limited, we manufacture audio products of various kinds, from amplifiers, preamplifiers, surround processors, CD players, and the like. I started in my youth in getting interested in audio. Actually, it goes back to when I was just turning 21. My grandfather had left each of his grandchildren a small amount of money. And in my case, what it went to was a high-quality sound system. I was interested even since I was a kid, and I'd never had the opportunity to have a really high-quality stereo system, so that's where it started. Later on, I was working with my father. He actually owned the company, Bryston Limited. And my interest in audio, because it was an electronics company, my interest in audio sort of brought the company little by little, gradually into the manufacturing of audio equipment. The first piece of audio equipment we made was in 1973. It was a high-quality stereo amplifier with some ideas that I had for improving the high-frequency distortion products. And we went to a studio, Eastern Sound Studio in Toronto on Yorkville Avenue. And I met a guy there who was the guy in charge of all the sound equipment, a guy named Stuart Taylor. And to make a sort of bring it full circle, Stuart Taylor is now our chief audio amplifier designer with Bryston Limited. So he goes back to 1972 in terms of his connection with us. To make a long story short, that first application at Eastern Sound Studio resulted in their being impressed with our amplifiers and wound up buying a couple. And from there we went on and we manufactured audio equipment. At first we were selling mostly to sound studios for purposes of monitoring. And gradually we became known in the home theater, not home theater, but the home audio industry, home stereo industry in those days. A magazine called The Audio Critic selected our amplifier. At first he looked at it and had seen one of our ads and felt that the ad was a little bit bold in stating that we felt we make the best amplifiers in the world. And the magazine said, well, we'll just bloody well see who makes the best amplifier in the world. We're going to conduct a big investigation, and we're going to test all the amplifiers we can get a hold of and see who is the best. A couple of issues later, he came out and said, well, maybe they do make the best amplifier in the world, but they still shouldn't be so bold in saying so. So that was in about 1977, and it sort of launched the interest in Bryston equipment in North America and further around the world. In those days, I was doing all of the designing myself on a light table. The designing was done with tape and donuts and clear plastic mylar, and basically designing a circuit board several times its original size and then photographically reducing that down to the size that it was used in production. These days, of course, we do everything on computers, and I'm not directly involved with the design anymore. I'm more involved with the finance end of the company, a certain amount of troubleshooting in terms of production problems. I'm involved with the day-to-day planning of what new products we'll be developing and things along those lines. But through the 80s and into the 90s, we continued to improve the product line, to expand the product line. About 10 years ago, we branched off into a home theater sound, and that's really has been the growth part of the marketplace for probably the last 10 years. I find it interesting that there's a resurgence in stereo interest these days, and our products are sort of getting another shot at some of the extremely high quality, the listeners that are looking for the absolute best quality sound. So we're sort of have our foot in two camps right now. We're in stereo pretty heavily, and we're in home theater. We still have quite a following in professional audio. The sound studios around the world have found that our amplifiers are perhaps the most accurate, and we hope the most reliable. We prove that by giving a full 20-year warranty, includes return shipping to the customer, all parts and labor. And we find that tells people that we do have a lot of confidence in our ability to make extremely high-quality products. So it continues on into the 21st century.